Hello friends, welcome to yet another video on TutorialsPoint. Today we will talk about leadership versus management. Well friends, the word leader and manager are the most commonly used words in the world of business today, and they're often used interchangeably. But have you ever wondered what these words really mean? To be a better leader or to have a good managerial job? If you have wondered or pondered over these questions, I would really request you to watch out for this video, because today in this video tutorial we will talk in detail about leadership versus management. Let's get started. Today on the agenda we will discuss management versus leadership. What exactly is management and what exactly is leadership? Difference between both of them. What are the core values of a leader? And that's something that is the crux of today's program. Program and working and empowering people in terms of how do you work and empower people as a leader of them, and the true essence of leadership. Well, these are the modules or subtopics we will cover in our module today. Well, what exactly is management and leadership? There are three assumptions which are based around leadership versus management. Leadership equals management. That means both leadership and management are synonymous, or rather equal to each other. Leadership and managers are not equal, means they are completely different from each other. And leadership and management are complementary. Well, they complement each other and they go side by side. So today, let's understand which of this assumption is actually the correct one. So friends, what is management? Let's understand the word management, as you must have heard this word a number of times, probably in your studies or probably from somebody else. Let's understand in detail what exactly is management. Well, a manager is a person whose activity revolves or involves the following: planning, organizing, directing, and controlling. Well, looking at these words like planning, controlling, directing, you might wonder whether a manager is also a leader. Well, all managers are not leaders, but all leaders can be managers. Some of the managers can become leaders if and only if they assume the responsibility of a leader, which is inspiring your people, motivating them to achieve their goals. Well, planning, directing, controlling, all of these words are something which is very important for a manager, because a manager at the end of the day is only doing an administrative job. He is not somebody who uses his mind of his own. He is not somebody who looks at his own self while he is performing his duties. There are certain duties and responsibilities given to a manager, and all he has to do is administer these duties and responsibilities. An employee of the organization might want to follow a manager only because of fear or responsibilities, and he is just doing his job by following the orders of a manager. On the other hand, let's understand what is leadership all about. Well, the term leaders have been there in times immemorial, wherein you might have heard the word leadership or how to be a good leader in a lot of books or in a lot of people who might be leaders themselves. If you have ever wanted to be a leader, let's understand what leadership is all about. Well, the process through which leaders influence the values, behavior, and attitude of people. A leader is made, a leader is born. You might also say something like this, that a leader is somebody who always acquires the skill set of a good leader. A leader is different from a manager because of the fact that a leader always has his own personality and his own way of doing things, which really charm the people around him. Not all leaders can be managers. In fact, I would like to inform you about this thing, that leaders do not necessarily have an authoritative position in an organization. They might not be a head of a team, might not even be at a very important position in an organization. A regular employee can also be a good leader. So leadership is not always about authority, or leadership is not always about the position you might occupy in an organization. Let's understand a little bit about leaders. So leadership qualities can either be innate or they can also be acquired. As mentioned before, you might be born a leader or you might be born a normal person but having the inspiration to become a leader. So these are certain skill set that you might even want to learn how to be a leader, and trust me, it is no rocket science. It is a very simple task to become a leader. You need to only believe in yourself and have faith in your abilities to make followers. A leader motivates the team members to perform well. Now, a leader is always having a lot of energy and enthusiasm, and he's very passionate about what he does. And also, he loves to motivate people. He loves to show them a direction. A leader does not always take the employees along with him to show them a way. He might only tell them that this is the direction and motivate his people to follow that direction to achieve their goals. A leader also motivates the members in case of failure. Now, not necessarily that if only you're performing well, a leader is there to motivate you. For people who are absolute failures or who do not believe in themselves and are non-performers, a leader can also motivate those people to perform well and to get to their goals. Let's understand the basic differences between leaders and managers. Well, here it is. A manager is someone who plans and budgets, who organizes and allocates the resources, and he controls and he solves the problems. Well, friends, in a simple line, a manager is only doing what is his duty and what somebody above him or a higher hierarchy has told him to do. He's only carrying out his job without really using his mind. He's only working day in and day out, not because of any other reason or passion, but because he has been told to. So he will organize, he will allocate resources, he will work around planning, budgeting and organizing the things, but at the same time he is also very controlling. He is not somebody who will give the control to his people. Whereas a leader, on the other hand, is someone who shows a direction. He is not somebody who will tell people to do something in a particular way. He will only show the direction to the people. He aligns and influences the people. He will not make them command his respect, or they will not really be driven to follow him, but at the same time, he will align and influence their decisions in their own way so that they don't feel that they are controlled by a leader. He also motivates and inspires. One of the most important thing a leader can do is motivate the people, inspire the people, and they, on the other hand, meaning the employees, really look up to a leader for this particular aspect of motivating and inspiring them. Friends, let's look at certain more differences between a leader and a manager. A manager is somebody who only administers his work. He is somebody who will, as I mentioned before, not use his energy and enthusiasm too much. A work has been given to him and he works like a government employee in terms of just carrying out his administrative duties and responsibilities. On the other hand, a leader is not somebody who will do a task just because the way it has been told him to do. He will innovate, he will use his own creativity and his own mind, his own passion to get the work done rather than just administer his duties and responsibilities. A manager is a complete copy, meaning he is not somebody who is an original like a leader. A manager will only do as much has been told to him to do. On the other hand, a leader is somebody who is very original in his thoughts, his processes, and he will not limit himself. So he is not fake, he is very, very original. A manager focuses on a lot of systems, processes, standard operating procedures, the company rules and regulations. A manager only focuses on these things, whereas a leader, on the other hand, focuses on only one thing, and that is the people that he's working with. His only focus is on people and he does not really care about system processes. I mean to say, of course, he does focus on all of these things, but not at a macro level. On the other hand, he will focus only on the people, and that is something people would love to be, with a leader because they feel inspired and motivated. A manager relies on control. At times, a manager can really be dictator. He could also be like a Hitler, getting his work done according to his own whims and fancies. On the other hand, a leader inspires the trust. He doesn't tell people to do something. He will make them so trustworthy that they themselves would want to do that particular task. A manager has a short-term view. A manager does not really think on long term, like a leader who thinks of long term perspective. A manager only thinks on a short term view. He would not really go out of his way to do things for a long term perspective. A manager accepts the status quo, whereas a leader will always challenge the status quo. I mean to say by this that a manager will always do things the way it has always been done through the years, through the decades. A leader, on the other hand, would challenge it and try to work around new ways of doing things and be more creative about it. A manager always does things right, whereas a leader, on the other hand, always does the right thing. I mean to say, he always feels that right thing has to be done at the right time, at the right place, whereas a manager does not really concentrate on that. His only focus is to get the work done rightly. Well, friends, these are certain differences between managers and leaders. Well, friends, if you want to be a world-class leader and really have core values of a leader, let's understand what they are. A leader believes in fairness, in freedom, and in commitment. Well, by these terms, what I mean to say is that a leader believes in these core values, and if you want to be a leader, you need to follow certain values of a leader. In terms of being fair, a leader believes that equal opportunities need to be given and people need to be treated fairly. Not to say that he will be biased towards a particular person or a colleague or a peer person. All I'm saying is that a leader needs to be fair if he really wants people to look up to him. He should always believe in fairness. He should always believe in freedom. Freedom for thought and expression, and that's important. A manager, on the other hand, always controls the freedom of the people. He always has a final authority which he feels he wants to make on his people. But a leader, on the other hand, is always choosing his own freedom. He lets the people get the freedom to express their opinions, their thoughts, without thinking too much on what the other person might say or feel. A leader also believes in the value of commitment towards work, commitment towards the kind of duty and responsibility that you have taken. A leader will always make sure that he commits to his work. If he has promised something, he will definitely deliver. He will not overpromise and underdeliver, never. He will always make sure that whatever he has told he will do, he will always commit to his work. And these, my friends, are the core values of a good leader. Let's understand, as a leader, there are 5 ways that a leader adopts to change people, or rather to lead the people. So a good leader applies the following approaches to lead: a strategic approach, human assets approach, expertise approach, the unbox approach, and the change approach. Let's understand briefly what these terms mean. By strategic approach, what I mean to say is that a leader will always work around a strategy. He will make sure that he works around planning as well as doing things the way they have to be done. So he will not just do something for the heck of doing it. He will plan, he will strategize everything according to that particular task. Human assets, as we mentioned before, a leader believes in his people. A leader focuses on his people. And hence we need to understand that a leader always feels emotional or sensitive about his people. He will not talk about the processes and the procedures, whereas he will only focus on the human assets, which is the people or the employees of the organization. Expertise approach. A leader has certain expertise in certain areas, and he will always make sure he is an expert on that particular knowledge or skill set that he wants to promote with his people. Unbox approach. A leader will always work out of the box. He will not follow the same way of doing things which have been going on since a long time, whereas he will always feel that it needs to be unboxed, or he needs to work out of the box. Creativity and innovation are the terms of the leader. He also approaches like a change approach, which is another methodology what a good leader always uses. By change approach, what I mean to say is that he will work around the changes. He's somebody who is not very fixated on things. He will work around being more flexible and adaptable towards his people. His mind is very open in terms of he will not really look at this has to be done in a particular way. He will always innovate and change his way and be very adaptive and flexible towards his people. Well, in order to empower the people, what a leader should do, let's look at certain tips and tricks to make sure that as a leader, how do you empower your people? Avoid competing for power, status and recognition. That is something that only managers do. They're very competitive by nature and they always look at recognition. A leader, on the other hand, will let his work do the talking. He will never try to fight for any kind of power or any kind of prestigious position. He entrusts the tasks onto the others. Well, he needs to trust the people to carry out the duties and responsibilities rather than hovering around them and not trusting his people. A leader always trusts his people. He builds and communicates a vision. Now, this vision might be different from the vision of the organization as a whole. A leader has his own vision and he makes sure that the people he works with move around this particular vision. So, he builds and he communicates, talks about the vision to the people. He guides the people to work meticulously to achieve meaningful goals. As we mentioned before also, a leader always makes sure that he takes the people to achieving the goals that they have planned for themselves. So he inspires them and motivates them to achieve the goals. He helps the people believe in their own worth and their capabilities. Well, a lot of times, friends, what happens is that people really lose focus on themselves or their belief in themselves goes really down. At this point of time, a leader motivates his people. He makes them believe in their own self-confidence and their own self-esteem because people might lose their confidence. So as a leader, he really helps them believe in themselves. Devise a culture in which fear and intimidation are replaced by trust. A lot of times people have a lot of phobias that they will not be able to do this or they will not be able to do that particular task. A leader really makes them trust themselves by making sure that he gives that much power to the people so that fear has no place in their world of dictionary. He displays the willingness to support people. A leader always goes out of his way and supports his people as much as they can. A manager, on the other hand, would never support his people if somebody does not do something right. A manager will never support them. A leader, on the other hand, leaves all his inhibitions and really goes out and supports his people. Well, to make sure that you are able to empower your people with these tips that we have shared, we will now share certain tools how a leader can make sure that this happens. So, certain tools are: he needs to have a lot of moral courage, he needs to have good judgment. A leader cannot have unbiased judgment, meaning he cannot favor somebody and not favor somebody else. So judgment is very important. He needs to have a sense of priority, and for that time management is very essential. He needs to be able to have delegation, and we have had a separate module on delegating effectively. A leader needs to have a great sense of humor. He's somebody who should make people around him feel very comfortable and have good people skill, and sense of humor plays a very important role there. Another tool which a leader needs to have is he needs to have a lot of focus on what he wants to do. So focus is very important for a good leader. Well, friends, these are certain tools which can really make a leader empower his people. Well, the true sense of leadership is, I'm going to leave you with certain quotes for a leadership. A leader has the vision and conviction that a dream can be achieved. He believes himself, he believes in people, and goals can be achieved thereafter. He inspires the power and the energy to get it done. Any task needs a lot of motivation, a lot of energy, and a leader really trusts his people on all these lines. A leader knows the way, goes the way, and shows the way. A leader will not take somebody by the hand and show them the way. He will tell the people that this has to be done, and he will show them the way, but he will not walk with the people towards getting it done. So friends, a leader knows the way, goes the way, and shows the way to his people. Well, that brings us to this beautiful module on leadership versus management. We have discussed, friends, a lot of differences between what exactly is a manager and a leader, and certain core values of a leader, how to be a good leader, how to really trust and empower your people. Well, I hope you have enjoyed listening to this particular module as much as we have enjoyed teaching you this. Do use it in your practical day-to-day living. Thank you very much for watching us.